Imagine you are driving down a clear highway in broad daylight and suddenly you find yourself next to an imposing 18-wheeler truck carrying tons of merchandise across the country. As you look closely, you notice something that defies all apparent logic. One or even two of the rear axles of this steel giant are suspended in the air, slowly rotating or simply floating several inches above the hot asphalt, while the rest of the structure supports the entire weight of the vehicle. To the untrained eye, this might look like a dangerous mechanical failure or an assembly configuration error, but the reality is that you are witnessing one of the most brilliant masterpieces of engineering applied to heavy-duty transport. In this video, we will unravel the mystery behind those wheels that don't touch the ground and discover how this technology not only saves thousands of dollars in fuel and maintenance, but is also a fundamental part of road safety and the preservation of our highways. Get ready to delve into the fascinating world of truck mechanics, where every component has a purpose and nothing is left to chance in the quest for maximum efficiency on the world's roads. The anatomy of support and the challenge of weight. To truly understand why a truck driver would decide to raise part of their running gear, we must first delve into the fundamental anatomy of these beasts of the road and understand exactly what an axle is and what its vital function is in the structure of a heavy-duty vehicle. In simple terms, an axle is a rod or structural component that connects two opposite wheels and acts as the main support that bears the total weight of the truck while allowing the tires to rotate freely to generate movement. These axles are absolutely essential components of any motorized vehicle, but in the case of heavy-duty trucks, their design must be much more robust and sophisticated to withstand extreme pressures over thousands of miles. The connection between the axle and the wheels is not direct but is made through a complex system of bearings that allow smooth and constant rotation with the least possible friction, ensuring that the energy generated by the engine is translated into efficient movement on the asphalt. Without these components, the weight of the load would simply collapse the structure to the ground, preventing any attempt at efficient logistics transport. The process of setting one of these machines in motion is a dance of perfectly coordinated mechanical forces that begins at the heart of the truck, where the engine generates colossal power. This power travels through the transmission, which adjusts the force according to the needs of the journey, and is then transferred to the drive shaft, which turns the differential. This is where the magic of torque distribution occurs, as the differential is responsible for distributing that force to the drive axles, allowing the rear wheels to push the vehicle forward or backward with the traction necessary to move loads that often exceed 40 tons. The drive axles are usually located at the rear of the truck and provide the power needed to overcome the inertia of a heavy static load. The truck's axles. Within the hierarchy of components that make up a truck's chassis, there are different types of axles, each with a specific mission that determines what the vehicle can and cannot do legally and mechanically on the road. Steering axles are usually located at the front of the truck and give the driver complete control over the vehicle's trajectory, allowing them to steer the mass with precision through tight turns and complex maneuvers in logistics centers. However, modern engineering has taken this a step further, and in some special configurations, we also find steering axles at the rear of the truck or trailer, with the aim of creating a much shorter turning radius and facilitating navigation in confined urban spaces where a conventional truck would get stuck. This dual steering is essential for special transports that must pass through infrastructure not designed for vehicles of such size, allowing the rear axle to follow the trajectory of the front axle smoothly and safely. In addition to these basic axles, there are specialized variants that are what really make freight transport a profitable and safe activity, such as carried axles and lift axles. Carried axles are generally found at the rear of the tractor-trailer, and their main function is to provide essential additional support when transporting high-density loads that exert massive vertical pressure on the chassis. But the real star of our analysis is the lift axle, which is often strategically positioned between the drive axles and has the technological capacity to raise or lower itself according to the immediate needs of the journey. This ability to alter the ground contact configuration is what improves fuel efficiency and traction in a way that few light vehicle drivers could imagine. It is not an aesthetic accessory but a load management tool that defines the profitability of each trip made. To understand why it is so important to be able to add or remove support points, we must analyze the physics of asphalt and how weight relates to road integrity. When a truck is traveling with a full load, it can exert significant pressure on the road surface, causing damage or sinking into softer ground. By lowering the axle to distribute the weight across multiple support points, the total weight is spread more evenly, reducing pressure on the ground and minimizing road wear. This distribution is vital because pavement has a fatigue limit, and every kilogram of excess pressure reduces the useful life of highways exponentially. A truck traveling with all its axles lowered when loaded is protecting the very infrastructure that allows it to work by ensuring that the road remains passable for everyone. The relationship between axle weight and legality is another critical point that defines the daily operation of carriers around the world, as each jurisdiction and country has strict limits on how much load a single axle can bear before it becomes illegal or dangerous. Lift axles give truckers the flexibility to adjust the weight distribution of their load and comply with weight regulations imposed by local authorities. If the truck is carrying a full load, all available axles are lowered to comply with regulations and maximize safety. But if the truck returns empty, keeping all those wheels on the ground would be an unnecessary waste of resources. This adaptability is what allows overloaded vehicles to avoid serious fines and penalties by adjusting their configuration to always remain within the legal weight limits permitted by law. From a mechanical point of view, an additional axle is not just a metal tube with wheels, but a complex system that interacts with the suspension and braking. When a truck is fully loaded, the additional axles not only support the weight, but also provide more braking power because there are more tires in contact with the road surface. This means that the truck can stop more effectively and efficiently, significantly reducing the risk of accidents caused by inadequate braking in emergency situations. At the same time, when lowered, lift axles significantly increase the stability of the truck, especially when cornering or making sudden maneuvers, as the additional tires help distribute the weight evenly and provide better grip. This extra grip is critical in reducing the likelihood of rollovers or loss of control at times when the inertia of the load attempts to pull the vehicle off its intended path. The engineering behind these systems is so precise that it allows a single driver from the cab to transform the dynamics of their vehicle at the touch of a switch. This manual or sometimes automatic control via weight sensors ensures that the truck is always operating at its optimum performance point. If we imagine a truck traveling on a mountain road with snow or ice, strategically lowering or raising axles can mean the difference between getting stuck or successfully continuing on the road. For example, some lift functions allow more weight to be temporarily transferred to the drive axles to gain traction on slippery surfaces, allowing the vehicle to move forward when others would be hopelessly stuck. It is this versatility that makes the lift axle an indispensable ally for any professional who takes efficiency and safety in long-distance transport seriously. Considering all this, it is clear that the anatomy of a truck is designed to withstand the harshest conditions, and the implementation of variable axle systems is engineering's answer to the need to balance power with economy. Understanding how these axles are connected and how they interact with the differential and transmission allows us to appreciate the complexity hidden beneath the chassis. Every component, from the bearings to the rear steering systems, is there to ensure that tons of cargo reach their destination on time and without a hitch. The next time you see a truck with its wheels in the air, remember that you are not seeing a whim of the driver, but a technical decision based on physics, the law, and the relentless pursuit of operational perfection on the asphalt. Pneumatic engineering and control from the cab. The heart of this system lies in the airbags, also known as pneumatic bellows, which are made of reinforced rubber compounds designed to withstand extreme pressures and severe weather conditions. When an axle needs to be raised, the system redirects the flow of compressed air generated by the engine compressor to specific chambers. In a typical configuration, the lift axle is connected to a suspension arm mechanism which, when receiving air pressure in the lift bag, pulls the axle upward, separating the tires from the road by several inches. Conversely, when the system is deactivated, the air is released or redirected to the load bags, allowing the axle to descend by gravity and pneumatic pressure until the tires make firm contact with the pavement. From the driver's perspective, this operation is surprisingly simple but requires a thorough understanding of the physics of travel. Inside the cab, the operator has a switch or digital interface that allows them to control these movements in real time. Activating the switch activates a solenoid valve that manages the flow of air, allowing the truck to change its appearance while stationary or even while traveling at constant speeds. Rolling resistance and strategic savings. One of the pillars that justifies investment in lift axle technology is the drastic reduction in rolling resistance. In the world of physics applied to transportation, Each tire that touches the ground generates friction that is necessary for movement but costly in terms of energy. When a truck drives with all its axles down while empty, it is forcing the engine to overcome the resistance of 10, 12, or even 18 unnecessary points of contact. This constant friction acts as an invisible brake that demands more torque and, therefore, significantly higher fuel consumption. By lifting unnecessary axles, the driver reduces the vehicle's total contact surface with the road. This action decreases drag and allows the engine to run at lower revs to maintain the same cruising speed. On long-distance journeys that can cover thousands of miles, a saving of just a few percentage points in diesel consumption translates into thousands of dollars at the end of the fiscal year for a transportation company. Fuel efficiency is not just an environmental goal. It is the difference between profitability and loss in an industry where profit margins are extremely narrow. Lifting an axle literally means stopping burning money in the form of useless friction against the asphalt. Component life and reduced operating costs. The financial impact of the lift axle extends far beyond the fuel tank. It directly affects the truck's preventive and corrective maintenance program. Every mile a tire travels in contact with the ground represents physical wear on its tread due to heat and abrasion. By keeping the axles raised when the truck is unloaded, those specific tires do not suffer any wear during the journey, which exponentially extends their service life. Considering that the cost of a complete set of truck tires is one of the heaviest investments for any owner, doubling or tripling the time between tire changes represents a massive financial relief. But it's not just about rubber. The braking system, wheel bearings, and lift axle suspension components also benefit from this active rest. By not being in contact with the ground, these components are not subjected to the constant impacts of road irregularities, potholes, or thermal vibrations that accelerate metal fatigue. Traction dynamics and advanced systems. Finally, we must mention the sophistication that brands such as Volvo have brought to this technology with systems such as tandem axle lift. This feature not only saves fuel, but is also an advanced traction tool. In slippery conditions, such as mud or ice, the driver can partially deflate the lift axle bags to momentarily transfer more weight to the main drive axle. This increase in vertical pressure on the wheels that drive the truck improves grip and allows the vehicle to get out of situations where a truck with all axles down would simply skid due to too much weight distribution. This versatility makes the lift axle an active safety and dynamic performance system. The ability to adapt the truck's footprint to terrain conditions is what allows these machines to operate in the most extreme climates on the planet, from frozen tundras to scorching deserts. The lift axle is ultimately the bridge between the brute force needed to move the world and the technical subtlety required to do so in the most economical and safe way possible. Safety, legislation, and the future of freight. Operating a heavy-duty truck on modern roads is not simply an exercise in brute force and applied mechanics, but rather takes place within a complex ecosystem of physical and legal rules that ensure industrial progress does not destroy the road it travels on. In this final section, we will break down in depth how the ability to raise and lower axles becomes the legal shield of the carrier and the guarantee of absolute safety for all who share the public road. Understanding the legal framework is essential to understanding why engineering has reached such levels of technological sophistication, as transportation authorities in almost every country in the world have established very strict regulations based on pavement load capacity and bridge structural integrity. Each jurisdiction has its own gross weight limits, but the truly critical factor is the weight limit per individual axle. This is because a truck may not exceed its total permitted weight. But if the load is poorly distributed, a single axle could be exerting excessive pressure that cracks the asphalt and irreversibly accelerates the deterioration of public infrastructure. The legal framework and load distribution. Lift axles play a crucial role in complying with these weight regulations imposed by local and national authorities. When a carrier encounters a weigh station or weighbridge, the difference between a profitable day and a massive fine of thousands of dollars depends entirely on the configuration of their axles at that precise moment. By lowering the lift axles, the driver can ensure that the load is distributed evenly within legal limits, allowing the weight to be spread over more contact points and reducing the specific load on each individual tire. This versatility allows vehicles transporting high-density materials such as steel coils or heavy machinery to adjust their footprint in real time to always remain within the legal limits. Without this technology, many transport operations would be economically unviable due to constant penalties for overloading individual axles. The adaptability of the modern truck allows logistics to flow smoothly, protecting the transport owner's investment and ensuring that roads remain in good condition for much longer. Active safety and braking power. Beyond legality and regulatory compliance, active safety is where the lift axle proves its incalculable value in preserving human life on the roads. When a truck is traveling at maximum load, the kinetic energy it accumulates is simply enormous, and stopping that moving mass requires braking power that is directly proportional to the weight being transported. This is where basic physics comes into play, because when a truck is fully loaded, the additional axles provide much more braking power because there are more tires in contact with the road surface. Each additional tire touching the ground not only helps distribute the weight, but also provides an extra friction area of several square centimeters that helps dissipate the heat generated by the brakes and maximize grip during a panic or emergency braking situation. This means that the truck can stop much more effectively and efficiently, significantly reducing stopping distance and preventing fatal accidents that could occur due to inadequate braking or the loss of brake effectiveness due to extreme overheating. Disc or drum brake systems work in conjunction with the axle configuration to ensure that deceleration is constant and controlled, regardless of how heavy the load on board is. Stability during maneuvers and rollover prevention. Stability during maneuvers is another critical benefit of additional axles that often goes unnoticed by the casual observer or light vehicle driver. A truck carrying liquids in tanks or materials that can shift abruptly has a dynamic center of gravity that can become extremely dangerous when taking sharp turns or making evasive maneuvers in response to an unexpected obstacle. When lowered, lift axles significantly increase the vehicle's lateral stability by widening the support base and providing much firmer and broader contact with the pavement. The additional tires help distribute weight evenly and provide better lateral grip, greatly reducing the likelihood of rollovers or the dreaded loss of control during moments of high mechanical stress. This increased stability not only protects the integrity of the load and expensive equipment, but also ensures that the truck stays precisely in its lane, avoiding encroachment into oncoming traffic during sharp turns or strong side winds. Industrial applications and real-world versatility. To definitively illustrate the versatility of these systems, it is necessary to take an exhaustive tour of their most common and successful industrial applications. In the construction and mining sectors, for example, dump trucks typically travel loaded with tens of tons of aggregates, soil, or debris to their unloading destination and then return completely empty to start a new day. In this repetitive work cycle, the lift axle is vital as it supports the massive weight of the materials during transport and then lifts automatically to save fuel and tire wear on the return trip through the city or quarry. Similarly, vehicles designed to transport heavy machinery and long-haul trucks rely on this technology to adapt to the constant variations in their logistics orders. A truck that today transports light goods, such as paper products, and tomorrow must move solid aluminum coils needs two completely different chassis configurations to be efficient. And the lift axle provides that technical duality without the need to change vehicles or trailers. This transformative capability turns a single truck into a multi-purpose tool capable of meeting any loading challenge with maximum profitability. Technological evolution does not stop there, and we are already seeing systems that use artificial intelligence to predict when to lower or raise the axles based on the topography of the route indicated by the GPS meters ahead. This will allow the truck to prepare for a steep climb or a dangerous descent by adjusting its axle configuration even before the driver notices the change in terrain. The phenomenon of rebound and chassis fatigue. We must also consider the dynamics of rebound or harmonic oscillation effect that axles suffer when suspended in the air, as a flying axle is not simply an inert mass, but remains part of an extremely complex vibratory system that interacts with the inertia of the vehicle. If the specific shock absorbers that control the movement of the lift axle are worn or have lost their load capacity, the axle will begin to oscillate up and down uncontrollably in response to any road imperfections, creating parasitic vibrations that are transmitted throughout the steel chassis to the driver's cab. These constant vibrations can loosen vitally important structural bolts, damage the engine's rubber mounts, and even more dangerously, cause long-term fatigue in the chassis metal, leading to cracks that compromise the overall safety of the transport equipment. For this technical reason, the maintenance of a truck equipped with lift axles is much more demanding than that of a conventional truck, as it requires periodic and constant inspection of the control arms and bronze bushings that ensure that the axle remains firm and aligned in its upper position, regardless of how rough or deteriorated the route being traveled may be. The integrity of air springs and chemical aging. Air springs or lift bags also undergo accelerated chemical and physical aging due to constant exposure to the sun's ultraviolet rays, environmental ozone, and the aggressive corrosive chemicals used to melt ice on modern highways. An airbag that develops microscopic cracks due to lack of cleaning or simply the passage of time may appear functional at first glance, but it will generate constant micro-leaks that force the truck's compressor to work continuously, increasing fuel consumption and drastically shortening the life of the internal components of the compressed air engine. Early detection of these leaks through pressure testing and a detailed visual inspection of the rubber's texture is what separates a professional operator who protects their equipment from an amateur. Since a total failure of an air spring while driving under maximum load will cause the axle to drop abruptly onto the asphalt, violently altering the weight distribution and potentially causing the instantaneous breakage of a steel leaf spring or a main load coil due to the sharp impact against the vehicle's frame. The future of artificial intelligence in axle management. Looking toward the technological horizon, the evolution of lift axles is entering a phase of complete automation thanks to the massive integration of artificial intelligence and real-time telematic data processing, which allow for unprecedented management. The most advanced manufacturers in the global market, such as Scania Volvo and Peterbilt, are already implementing predictive load management systems that do not rely exclusively on the weight detected by pressure sensors at the current moment, but use advanced digital mapping and the topography of the route loaded into the navigation system. Using accurate satellite data, the truck knows exactly when a steep incline will begin several kilometers before reaching it, and the onboard computer autonomously decides whether it is more efficient to lower the axle ahead of time to maximize traction or keep it up to take advantage of inertia and gain cruising speed. This mechanical anticipation capability completely eliminates the risk of human error by the driver, who often forgets to activate the system due to fatigue or distraction, losing valuable economic efficiency points on each trip through complex terrain. Hybridization and the regenerative axle of tomorrow. We are also witnessing the introduction of the first intelligent lift axles in new electric and hydrogen-powered trucks, where the concept of the mobile axle is evolving to become a source of energy. In these vehicles of the near future, the lift axle not only seeks to reduce unnecessary friction, but is also integrated into the energy recovery system through high-power regenerative braking. When the truck is traveling empty, the axle remains raised to minimize battery power consumption, but if the vehicle faces a long downhill slope with a full load, the axle lowers not only to distribute the weight, but also to act as a massive generator that recharges the energy cells while safely retaining the vehicle without wearing out the traditional service brakes. This perfect symbiosis between the traditional pneumatics that have moved the world for decades and state-of-the-art electrification is what will define the next generation of heavyweights that will dominate global roads, ensuring that freight transport becomes increasingly clean, quiet, and extremely profitable for the economies of the future. The impact on the used market and capital strategy. Finally, we must understand that the technical decision to purchase a truck equipped with state-of-the-art lift axle systems is not just a matter of mechanical preference, but a high-level financial decision that directly affects the resale value of the asset and the liquidity of the transport company. In the international used truck market, a vehicle configured with original factory lift axles will always retain a much higher market price than one with fixed or rigid axles, as it represents a work tool with infinitely superior operational versatility for any potential buyer. An independent trucker who invests his savings in used equipment with this technology knows in advance that he will be able to accept contracts to transport both high-volume light goods and high-density heavy materials without being penalized by the high operating costs of moving unnecessary tires against the asphalt. For large logistics fleets, the presence of these axles is seen as a real insurance policy against unpredictable fuel price fluctuations, as it mitigates the direct impact of operating costs on return trips, where historically, a large percentage of trucks travel without cargo or with opportunistic freight that hardly covers the maintenance costs of a complete undercarriage. In short, The visual phenomenon of wheels that do not touch the ground is only the surface of a deep-rooted industry that continues to innovate in order to be more competitive, safe, and respectful of the environment that surrounds us all. From the physical fundamentals of power transmission to the most complex satellite prediction algorithms, each piece of this mechanical puzzle is designed with the sole purpose of ensuring that freight transport remains the lifeblood of our modern society, allowing the global economy to breathe and move efficiently. Appreciating the immense engineering effort that allows a metal giant to adapt to the asphalt with such a high level of precision allows us to see trucks not only as simple cargo machines, but as true rolling laboratories that constantly challenge the laws of physics to take us towards a future where transportation is the basis of a more connected and efficient world for all the inhabitants of the planet.